Dr. Ben Bikman on his book, Why We Get Sick, an interview with Susan Birch of New Zealand. This is from Susan Birch's YouTube podcast, April 2020. For reference, see Susan Birch, the Health Detective, at susanbirch.co.nz.
Essentially, the book is broken up into three parts. What is insulin resistance and how do we get it? And then why does it matter? So that is basically the section that highlights all of the chronic diseases that stem from insulin resistance. And it's surprising how many. And then the last part of it is the happy ending, and that is what to do about it. A big part of my hope is that someone would read that book and then step back and scrutinize their lifestyle. And they would say, I am taking a medication for my blood pressure. I am taking a medication for my diabetes. I'm taking a medication for my infertility. What they would hopefully be able to do is step back and then realize that all of those disorders are derivative of one problem, that they are all branches coming off the same tree. So rather than just hacking at the branch, go right to the root of the problem, go right to the trunk in this analogy and address it head on. And sure enough, then all of those seemingly distinct disorders that seem so unrelated, but the fact is almost every chronic disease is in some way caused by or exacerbated by insulin resistance. So it is a root cause.
How can I check to see if I am fully healthy?
I submit that there are two things someone can do or pay attention to. One, does the person have high blood pressure? That is an incredibly common sign of insulin resistance. So I would say just one simple question, does the person have hypertension? Yes or no? If it's yes, then all the more reason to be worried. A second item to pay attention to is how much fat and where they are storing their fat. So essentially, a person can just get a measuring tape, measure the biggest part around their belly. So usually just right below the belly button. So the biggest part around the waist. And then measure the height, their height, just normal height measurement. A healthy number here is that if their waist circumference, when it's doubled, if you take waist circumference times 2, it should be less than the height of the person. If waist circumference times 2 is a smaller number than the person's height, then that's a good sign. If waist circumference times 2 is a bigger number than height, that's a bad sign. It suggests very strongly this person is storing fat centrally in the body, and that is a terrible place to store it. Now, if we take it one step further and we scrutinize a clinical test, then if someone can measure their triglycerides to HDL ratio, so when they look at their blood test that they got from their last doctor visit, put the triglyceride number up top and then divide that by the HDL cholesterol. And if that number is less than 1.5, then that's a very good sign. Then it's very likely that that person is insulin sensitive.
Summary. On the book, Why We Get Sick. 1. Scrutinize lifestyle. 2. Go after root cause of disease, including diabetes, heart disease, obesity, PCOS, eczema, and some cancers. 3. Root cause is insulin resistance. 4. Check your blood pressure, waist to height ratio, triglyceride to HDL ratio.